Paul Eugen Bleuler was a Swiss psychiatrist. In fact, it is his term that ambivalence, along with schizophrenia, autism, all these which are very popular and famous terms today thanks to certain movies, especially autism and schizophrenia. Now, this ambivalence also was coined by the same person, Bleuler. This is his actually attempt to show, I mean the choice of the term is this attempt to show how certain patients, psychological patients, as in schizophrenia or otherwise, they're often caught between contradictory choices related to the rather contradictory emotions related to the same choice, and then they can neither decide in favor of it nor against it. Freud had invoked this in his analysis of schizophrenia, and there he showed that in certain cases, in complex cases, the patient's love for the analyst was actually also the reason for the patient's hatred of the analyst as well. It's a complex thing, anyway. I will discuss it in some other video. Today, this is the context for our purpose, that is in post-colonialism, Bhava's use of the term ambivalence. Bhava follows both Derrida and Franz Fanon actually, and if you mix these two, Fanon is, by the way, post-colonial critique and psychoanalytical post-colonial critique, if we may say so, because he also was a practicing psychiatrist. In a certain way, rather in a crass way, if I may put it, if you intermix Derrida with Fanon, Freud and Bleuler psychiatry, you will get the crux of Bhava's formation. That is why he is difficult. He mixes things, but then at its root, it's a very simple thing. That a term is difficult because Said had done a lot of work on colonialism, and then Bhava had to be different. Here also we can refer to the anxiety of influence thing. The crux of the matter is this, that while Said mostly talks, I won't say always, in terms of the colonizer-colonized polarization, binary, it appears they're poles apart, Bhava says that no, it's not like that. Colonialism is an ambivalent process. All his terms, ambivalence, third space, hybridity, they more or less they refer to the same thing. That colonization, colonialism, or any similar thing, by extension we can see, which appear to be a binary, huge division occurring between the two sets of ideas, poles, or say registers, are only apparent. So Israel and Palestine, Bhava would show you that Israel is also Palestine and Palestine is also Israel, which is also not untrue. Derridian thing. Anyway, so the main thing is he tries to say, so far as we can understand him, Bhava is difficult to understand. He eludes. But then if you go through these roots, basically Fanon and Freud and Derrida himself is again a bit tough, the language is tough. Then that is the thing. Simple thing is, it is always a kind of love-hate relationships between colonizer and colonized. The colonizer actually detests, hates, wants to dominate the colonized, but at the same time finds it exotic, interesting. See the West's domination of India, and then its penchant for its desire for, say, Indian sexuality as well as Indian spirituality, with Kama Sutra and Brahma Sutra, to name two texts. This kind of fascinations, but at the same time, keep the natives subjugated. According to Said, they have brought in a temporal scheme also, that the good India of Upanishad, say Jandavesta, Shakuntala, these were of the past, but the current India, in the colonial context, is the present, is inhabited by inferior natives, so they must be dominated. But anyway, so Said also had shown that he didn't use the term, but Bhava actually built on it. and he himself said that the source book of our discipline, rather this book opens the post-colonial field, he said about Orientalism. The source book of our discipline is said by Gayatri regarding Orientalism. Anyway, so the colonizer actually loves the native to some extent and then hates it. But the same is with the colonized. While the colonized is actually fighting the colonizer collectively as well as individually, hating his imposition, his power, his exploitation. I'm using he on purpose because mostly the colonizers were males, though women were also there, Queen Victoria and other, but then it was a homosocial world, even now. So the colonized hate them. At the same time, they want certain things because the colonizer wields enormous power. His language, even now, the fact that we are talking in English and speaking to each other, and then after 70 years or more of British living India, Pakistan and other things, we are still doing MA in English, BA in English, because it has become a global language. There is no denying the fact. Yeah, ethically we may contest it, out of our anti-colonial stance, we may say there are many other languages, French is there, Bangla is the Hindi, but practically it is so. It's also the language of internet, though there are other contesting websites coming up, but anyway, and then it's accessible. But anyway, so English is accessible to the extent that Chinese is not to the global population, Hindi is not, French is not, because they were there anyway. And then I accept English from the Chomskyan point of view, because Chomsky, showed that language is not innate to any person. You being born in any other place, if you are born in, you would have picked up the language of that. It's not like blood group A, B, C, which we generally think language like that. Mother tongue is like mother's milk, even Tagore said. But then Chomsky shows that it's possibly not exactly mother's milk, but some kind of other milk, borrowed one. Bought milk, it's not innate. But anyway, leaving that aside, so colonizer, colonized. So the colonized hates the colonizer, but then wants to again be like him. And there are places where, say, in job, they want powers like the colonizers. We try to imitate the colonizer. The more we, say, Indian or third world, academics, the more we sound like the British, the more we appear like the British. I'm trying presently. Earlier I did not, as called. So, even more remarkable things like that are there. So it's very interesting. So that's why Baba said that it is no one-way hatred. Or look at the irony of this, that post-colonial theory itself comes from the metropolitan academia. All these were this Trinity, Said and Baba, I think MIT, Said and Gayatri both at Columbia, all three, even Professor Radhakrishnan, California Turbine, like that. So from that metropolitan universities again, anti-colonialism coming, and then we are accepting it. We did not accept it to the extent, at least the academic or the elite class, when similar things are shown by Tagore, or then other people, things like that. So it is the colonizer and the colonized thing, which is a non-binary, where there is mutual love and hate of each other for both. And then there could be n number of examples. This ambivalence is a kind of ongoing process at different levels. Look at the film Lagan, which is popular, well known. See this lady, I don't remember the name, the British lady who is in love with the hero, that is Amir Khan, helps. So would you call her a colonizer? To what extent? Because she does not wield that kind of power or domination or hatred of the colonized as her brother does. So there is ambivalence in her attitude to Amir Khan. In the same way, Amir Khan's attitude to that lady is also ambivalence. It is not that attitude that he has against the Raj as a whole or to her brother. Okay, so there are always these nuances. So, Bhava's reading of colonization is more nuanced, very nuanced, as has been said by an important contemporary critic regarding Ashish Nandi. Ashish Nandi's reading, though apparently he appears to be justifying Hinduism, religion, etc. apparently, but it's not like that. These are very nuanced, these are different. So thank you.